Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, each and every day here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the lovely studios of Freedom's Phoenix Farm. You know, we have a great guest for you today. We're going to be, is that feedback in? We're having an opportunity for you to be able to understand something that we have been putting off for a while because we were waiting for an opportunity that we could do this. And I have in studio a good longtime friend of mine. Wow, man, it's been almost 20 years. Dean Pleasant. Now, let me tell you about him. Dean Pleasant was the county treasurer while I was county chairman of the Libertarian Party when we really came out in 1994. This is when we had, you know, great candidates for all across the ticket. You know, we had like 30 candidates, topped off by Judge John Buttrick was running for governor. We had a great candidate for attorney general, secretary of state, mining inspector. It was just one after another. We just had a great presence, and it really descended on the media here, and we made our mark and been fighting for freedom ever since. During that time, Dean Pleasant was the one that I talked about. Now, he posts under another name, and we won't say what that is, but because he's controversial. And the reason is because as the Viper Militia in 96, keep him off. In 1996, he was participating with other friends, learning how to make use of firearms, how to make ammo. You know, going out in the desert, which there's plenty of here. I mean, you know, nobody even heard it. But you go out in the desert and blowing up 5-gallon buckets of ammo and seeing how make it go were. Now, they weren't that clandestine. You know, they had, so me and some of the other guys make fun of them because, oh, yeah, we're all secret. And they did a newsletter called SHF. Suicidal hippie fornicators. Okay, we're going, yeah, you guys are secret. So during the militia craze at the time, we knew that government was just looking for somebody to go after. We had SAFE, Second Amendment is for everyone. That was a political action committee that we had in support of an initiative that started the concealed carry here in Arizona. We're the ones that started that issue. And we're going, no permit. And when they did the permit and passed it, we did a referendum against the permit. We said, no, this is not about being able to carry a gun with government permission. This is about not needing their permission. And we make a big deal about it. So all of a sudden, you know, it's 15 years later, all of a sudden now we got it. But it was because of a cultural shift that we were part of. Dean was a big part of that. Dean and his friends were arrested and became international news in the Clinton administration, and with Janet Reno and Janet Napolitano was the assistant U.S. attorney in charge of the prosecution of Dean. There was a $60 million lawsuit against her for all the kind of stuff they made up. And I remember when this was going, we were getting interviewed by all the media and the FBI sitting in the shadows out there as I'm on channel whatever doing the thing, and they're doing it. It's a long story, but it came down to this. Nightline with Ted Koppel, he gets up and he goes, you know what they've been telling us is not really necessarily true. Whenever you have these militia, you know, that's some infiltrator, there's some agent provocateur, and there's somebody trying to make a big deal out of anybody that thinks that they need to have firearms training in case of whatever. Oh, they go after you. They went after him. Dean did 5.5 years in a federal penitentiary, and me and a couple of friends, when he got out, we went and picked him up and brought him home, you know, by way of Las Vegas. But then what happened is we understood, and my children were there at a sentencing. Sierra, my producer now, when she was small, had a dog, a big stuffed animal, Wags, right, his name, that Dean had given her. She stands up in the sentencing, we love you, Dean, don't. And they got national media sitting there talking to Sierra as a little girl, you know, saying how much she loved Dean. This was a personal thing that we went through. Right after his arrest, we went to the National Libertarian National Convention in Washington, D.C. And I remember it was right when they released the movie Independence Day, where it has the alien ship blowing up the White House, you know. When we went and saw it opening day, 4th of July in Washington, D.C., that scene they cut to about a third. Went boom, bang, boom, next scene. We're going, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, no time for cheering. So all these things come together that I remember. It's time-stamped in my family's history of what Dean was doing, why he was doing it, what was trumped up and made up, and why they targeted this. And we were like, what the heck is going on? What we're going to do in the next hour, Dean is going to go ahead and explain to us what we already knew before then. In 1994, we went to the Arizona State Legislature, and Dean got up to speak against an attempt to take over the unorganized militia, which is just the people in Arizona, able to arm themselves in defense of themselves and their state against anything, including the federal government. The adjutant general had legislation they wanted to put the unorganized militia under the control of the federal government, which means me and you, certainly us here in Arizona. We understood what they were doing. We would go through all the legislation as part of our job playing politics, and we'd go through it, and we'd let everybody know what was going on. We had our own newspapers and so on. Dean gets up to speak. The adjutant general sprints to the front of the room, goes right behind the desk up there where the legislators are, goes to the chairman of the committee. Chairman goes, boom, we're pulling that bill. And we all looked at each other and like, what the heck just happened? After that, they changed the state constitution. Instead of it saying all able-bodied men between the ages of, are able to be in the militia, unorganized militia thing, they changed it to capable. Able-bodied is, I can pull a trigger, I guess. They go, no, capable. Capable has another meaning. That's whatever they say it means. Are you legally capable? That kind of deal. So we knew that this, by now, it doesn't matter what they do. You think they're going to, change some law one way or the other in any of the Arabic-speaking countries? It's going to make a difference to anybody? We're at that point. That's what, Simon Black is supported for what he's doing, because he understands it doesn't matter what they're going to do. Change some law. Oh, no, we're freedom-loving now. We elected, the anti-war President Obama. We're not going to be doing any more war now. How's that working out? So I'm going, no. We know better. We knew better a long time ago. What Dean's going to talk about is we're going to go in the history of the state guards. When did the governors lose control of the Tennessee regular militia, de la whatever, the 2nd Armament Infantry of Maine's, what you call it? That's how it used to be defined. That's how they were titled. That's how they were known. It was a state militia. It was state armies and state infantry and state that would come together in defense of the country. No. Central planners always want the central plan. When did that happen? How did that happen? Was legislation passed? What was it? Who signed it? Who resisted it? Over the history? All of these things are what we're going to be talking about in the next hour. But I want to make sure that you understood behind the scenes, because we took an extra time with Simon, that we just kind of consolidated a lot of these issues and what we're going to be talking about, that someone just like Dean is able to articulate for us because he lived it. And while he was in federal prison for 5.5 years, all he did was study his case, civil suit against Janet Napolitano, that made all kinds of news here, and it was very clear what they did. He just wanted to paper the trail, document the files, make sure it's out there. Now, when we had I went on CNN. If you were to Google Ernest Hancock CNN, you'll see I did a Rick Sanchez piece. And it was about when Obama came here, people had firearms. And we talked about it and what was going on and everything. And it gave me an opportunity to say, look, we knew what was going to happen after William Kostrick brought his firearm with him, which he always wore it, and he's in New Hampshire. They wear their firearms all the time, just like here in Arizona. And he goes, oh, look, I knew Obama was coming to town. I wasn't going to disarm because he's coming. That's dumb. So they made a big deal out of it. MSNBC, they just went off on this, had him on, and he handled himself well. He's like, yeah, so? What's the big deal? But he was from Scottsdale, Arizona, and I knew they were coming to Arizona. So we made a big deal out of this. I got on CNN and explained We know what they're going to do with Janet Napolitano as head of the American Gestapo, Homeland Security, because she not only was governor, but she was the lead prosecutor against the Viper militia, and they wanted to come to Arizona again, but we preempted them, and they went to Michigan. They went to another militia, made big news out of that. We already know how this game's played. Dean's going to tell us why and where we're being targeted and how in the history of the militia and the state guards under the control of the governor and not the federal government. This is excellent information that you need to stay tuned for, and it goes right in what we were talking to Simon Black about. Oh, stay tuned. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.